Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. Estamos aquí para celebrar juntos un mes sumamente importante para nuestra cultura, para nuestra comunidad, a celebrar todo lo que es importante en nuestra familia. Y soy Gabriel Albornoz, presidente del Consejo del Condado de Montgomery, orgulloso hijo de Marisol y Marcelo Albornoz, que vinieron desde Ecuador y Chile, y también y orgulloso de tener la oportunidad de trabajar con mi colega y amiga Nancy Navarro por todos estos años. So welcome everybody. It is such a privilege and honor to be presiding as council president this year. Only the third Latino to serve in this role in the grand history of this community, and there will be many more, believe me. But I am, yes, let's give that a round of applause. Before we get started, this is, I gotta say, one of the best looking audiences we've ever had here at the Montgomery County Council. There are many distinguished guests here today, but there are a few that I'd like to highlight in particular. Representing El Consul of El Salvador in Maryland, Pedro Rodriguez. Thank you for coming, Mr. Rodriguez. We also have Dalit Gonzalez from the Venezuelan Embassy here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for coming. We have delegates, Linda Foley, Delegate Gabriela Severo, one of the best dressed delegates here in Montgomery County, and a great dancer, and an incredible delegate and representative. And we also have representing Delegate David Fraser Hidalgo is Evan Chiarelli. Thank you so much for being here, Evan. I see Senator Cheryl Kagan is in the house. Thank you so much, Senator Kagan. And I see Joel Vogel, community leader, who we're hoping will join us in the General Assembly soon. Joe, thank you so much, who hails from Uruguay. We also have representing Congressman Jamie Raskin, Kathleen Connor, and the entire Raskin team, I believe, is here. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Representing Senator Chris Van Hollen, Kathia Mejia Chavez. Thank you so much for being here. And representing Senator Cardin, Kenny Reichert is in the House. Thank you so much, Kenny. Oh, and Gracie Rivera Oven is in the House too. Thank you so much for your leadership for so many different areas, and hopefully your service on the Board of Education. All right, well, I will make some opening comments, but yield most of my time to Councilmember Navarro. This is an important month, and we are here, frankly, not just thanks to her leadership for so many different policy reasons, but literally she was the council member that devised and ensured that months like this are recognized more formally than what had been traditionally done in the past. It's important that we take the time to reflect and acknowledge the incredible contributions of our multicultural community and to reaffirm all of our values. And that's why Hispanic Heritage Month in particular is so important. The news has been so challenging and so sobering for our brothers and sisters from around the globe, but particularly with what we have seen most recently here in our country. Because of the political unrest, because of the climate change challenges, because of the violence, because of the extreme economic challenges and political challenges, waves of migrants have been coming to our country as they have for generations before, and have been politicized in a way that is truly heartbreaking. I know all of you hurt the same way I do when you see the images of families who are in desperate situations trying to do what all of us and our families before us have done, is just to be able to move forward and create a way of life to be able to advance our families. We here in Montgomery County stand proud that we have leaned in. And I really want to acknowledge our Department of Health and Human Services and our partner and community-based organizations and some of the volunteers who are in the audience who have worked tirelessly during this most recent wave of migration to our country. It makes me proud to live in a community that understands the importance of opening up our arms and welcoming our brothers and sisters as brothers and sisters. And I'll end here. The theme of this month is Latinas Leadership Without Borders. And I am a product of one of the strongest Latinas that anybody will ever meet, and that is Marisol Albornoz. My mom, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, is literally why I am here, but she has inspired me in everything that she has done. She has been politically active and active in social justice her entire life. She managed a doctor's office for more than 32 years and provided unbelievable customer service and care to patients who were sick and in some cases their greatest hour of need. And I want to thank my mom for the example that she has set for me, but now by extension my kids, and especially my two daughters, Alicia and Teresita, who are 14 and 6 years old respectively. I hope they grow up to be like the women that we are honoring today. And lastly, I just want to note as a point of privilege, and I know I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues, in acknowledging one of the greatest Latina leaders, not just here in Montgomery County, but in the entire United States of America, and that is Nancy Navarro. Mm-hmm. So Nancy has been a trailblazer, both in terms of her policies and her leadership, her service on the Board of Education, her service on this council, serving 2 times as our council president, but more importantly, the legacy that she has created and the bridges that she has built in our community are going to outlast all of us. You can't touch anything here on this dais or in this community without Nancy's fingerprints somewhere. So Nancy, on behalf of all of our colleagues, I do truly want to thank you. I know this is your last year on this body, but I know your work will continue. And with that, I proudly now turn it over to you to make some comments.
Muchas gracias, Presidente Albornoz. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí. Esta es como una reunión familiar. Hay muchas personas que no había visto en un par de años y personas que yo sé que estuvieron pasando por momentos difíciles, pero están aquí celebrando. Y eso a mí realmente me emociona muchísimo. Y yo creo que si yo empiezo a ver cada fila, cada uno de ustedes tiene una historia, cada uno de ustedes tiene alguna anécdota o han invertido energía en este condado, pero también me han ayudado a mí muchísimo a poder lograr muchos de los sueños y las metas, porque ninguno de nosotros que están aquí sentados puede lograr nada si no es con ustedes. Así que desde el fondo de mi corazón, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí para celebrar a nuestra comunidad colectiva, pero también a celebrar a nuestro condado. Eso es lo más importante. Entonces, bueno, primero tengo que agradecer a todos los que han trabajado para traernos esta ceremonia. Quiero agradecer muchísimo a Berta Cersósimo, María Cruz Solís, a Roda Niqueloa, Craig Wilson, Chris Leacock, son las personas que están en mi oficina día a día trabajando, pero en particular Berta y Mayra han hecho un trabajo extraordinario para que nosotros podamos llegar a este momento. El personal de la oficina del presidente Albornoz, que siempre hace un trabajo magnífico, y nuestra oficina de comunicaciones, la cual es increíble. Hay muchas estrellas, pero en particular Marcela, Raúl, Lucía y Joe por ayudar a integrar y a producir un video que vamos a ver pronto. Así que muchísimas gracias por todos ellos. Sí, esta es nuestra conmemoración número 9, la 9ª. Nosotros comenzamos esto hace 9 años porque la verdad es que hablamos mucho de la diversidad del condado, ¿verdad? Pero no era suficiente simplemente dar una proclamación a una persona. La realidad es que este condado es un condado maravilloso precisamente por todas las comunidades que viven aquí. Y me pareció importantísimo hace 9 años que empezáramos a modificar este formato para darle ese tipo de reconocimiento adecuado y darle honor a todas nuestras comunidades, no solamente aquellas personas que están en liderazgo comunitario o que, tú sabes, no, a todos los que están trabajando día y noche para fortalecer este condado. Entonces, para mí es un gran honor estar aquí hoy, ya que es mi última conmemoración en este puesto, pero cuando veo todas estas caras, realmente me emociona mucho saber de que este condado va a seguir adelante. And so with that, I want to say that first, of course, thanking my staff, Berta Cersosimo and Mayra Cruz Solis, Roland Ikeloa, Craig Wilson, Chris Leacock for keeping me sane and making me look good all the time. That is so important. But Berta and Mayra have achieved some extraordinary things for our county, and their dedication and their selfless dedication to this county has been an inspiration to me. So I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank the staff of Council President Albornoz's office for also doing incredible work on behalf of our communities, and also the amazing communications office that is really comprised of some real stars. But we have Marcela Rodriguez Villagran, Joe Thompson, Raul Ramos, and Lucia Jimenez, who did an amazing, amazing job at the video that we're going to be watching very soon. This is my last commemoration. We started this 9 years ago. We've changed the format. I felt it was so important to have a celebration that was more holistic and complete. And it's a moment to pause and really just put the spotlight on all of our communities, right? We talk about diversity as such an important aspect of our county, but really it deserves to have this moment in this hall to really acknowledge all the contributions, because there are just so many. So for me, this is a very important commemoration today. I am forever grateful to have had the honor to be the first Latina, an immigrant woman, to be elected to the Montgomery County Council. And I am thrilled that very soon, most likely, I will not be the only one. And that is really exciting news. We are fortunate that in Montgomery County, civic leadership has evolved greatly. And we have witnessed increased participation of community members from all corners of the county, many of them coming to this chamber to testify in their native language. Immigrant women have played an outsized role in making this happen. They are leading the way to a resilient future with limitless possibilities. This is why today we celebrate community leaders like Carmen, Angelica, and Monica. Their work, their advocacy, their mentorship, and their unmatched commitment to enhancing the county's quality of life by lifting and empowering others is inspiring to so many. I say it often, but it is even more important to repeat it loudly at this critical point in our history. Montgomery County's diversity is its defining factor, its strength, but only if we commit to authentically empowering all of our communities to be part of the decision-making process. This is key here in our county, but also throughout our nation. The Latino community's impact and potential is quite vast. Our power in shaping and driving change is extraordinary. I'm just gonna share just some data points. And this is US data. As you all know, there are 62 million Latinos in the United States, 62 million. The total economic output of the US Latino population, if it was broken out as a separate country, would be the 5th largest in the world. A $2.8 trillion output in 2020, according to the Latino Donor Collaborative. With 41 million native speakers of Spanish and another 11.6 million who are bilingual, the United States has become the world's 2nd largest Spanish-speaking country, according to the Cervantes Institute. It is 2nd only to Mexico, or Mexico, and it's ahead of Colombia and Spain in 3rd and 4th places. According to the census data, every 30 seconds, a Latino in the US turns 18 and becomes eligible to vote. That represents about 75,000 a month and close to 900,000 every year, which means more Latinos to vote for our issues, causes, and candidates. All of that cannot be ignored. There are over 2 million Latina-owned businesses in the country, and a growth of more than 87% since 2007. Latina-owned small businesses are the fastest growing segment of the business community in the United States, playing a key role in fueling the nation's economy. In other words, this community will continue to uplift and enhance the strength of our nation. Finally, I will close by saying that people from every corner of the globe come here seeking protection, peace, stability, and a better quality of life for their families. And in turn, they contribute greatly to our county's values of inclusion and compassion for one another. For many, many, many years, I have been proud to uplift the voices of those who have come here seeking refuge, starting in the 1980s with the Central American Wars, and we have seen waves and waves and waves of migrants and refugees seeking refuge here in our own county. And we have always opened up our arms because this is what defines our values here in the county. I will be honest, I never dreamed or envisioned that one day I would be sitting here witnessing the same crises of migrants coming from Venezuela. Venezuela has experienced the largest migration. Over 6 million people have fled Venezuela, seeking refuge in other South American countries, Central American countries, and now the United States. The largest migration exodus outside of wartime. And so once again, we are confronted with the notion that every single time we have to think and make a decision, do we step up to provide refuge, humanitarian aid to those children, to those families, or do we turn a blind eye? I am sitting here honored and proud that this county always steps up, and that the leadership in this council, the county executive, HHS, and you as a community, again, are stepping up to provide that support and that hope to so many who are suffering today. For that, I want to thank you, and I want to say that every day when we wake up, let's recommit to upholding our values of inclusion, of tolerance, of protection, and of peace. This is emotional, but with that, I don't know if yes, is it county executive here? Yes. Yes, and now I'm going to turn it over to our county executive, Mark Elridge, who, again, has also been a steward of promoting and enhancing those values here in our county of inclusion and protection for those who are seeking refuge. County executive.
So thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me here today. This is important, and I think we all know why. And I just want to start by thanking particularly Nancy and Gabe, because in the middle of the pandemic, in the early days, we were trying to figure out how to change communications. And as we know, because I was on the council before, everything was always centralized. And we made a decision to pivot, and you all brought me sort of the other star, and we decided that was the path to go with, and that led to hubs for everybody in the inclusion of all communities and allowing them to do more self-directed work rather than relying on the government to make these decisions. And I think that's why we achieved the rates of vaccination in this county that we did. It is no accident that the Latino and Asian populations are the highest vaccinated groups in Montgomery County. We are the highest vaccinated large county in the country, but we brought along everybody else with us. It's not just people who look like me who did this. In fact, the Hispanic community out-vaccinated people who look like me. And that's not an insignificant accomplishment. So thank you for the work you did to pivot the way we were going. And I'm glad that we were able to make that pivot, and it was successful. I think it's made us, well, actually it makes it possible for us to do what we're doing today, so it's not a really small thing. I was, proud to serve on the council during the time when we made some really important decisions of inclusion. I know Ike's kind of started us down that path. We've enhanced it ever since, and we're continuing to make sure that Montgomery County is an inclusive and welcoming community. I've been doing a month of tours of businesses in the Hispanic community, and I saw this really cool shop in Germantown where they're painting plates and things, and lots of young people coming in. But I was also at Mas Panadas, if anybody knows that. They're very successful. They've grown to 60 employees, and today I was at a procurement fair where the majority of people at the procurement fair learning about how to do business with Montgomery County were people of color. At that fair, I saw the woman who owns the company. They just got this big loan they were going to look for. They are actually national with their empanadas. This is also not a small thing for a little company that started with, putting meat inside of the wrapper and doing it at a very small scale to actually having production facilities. And it was just remarkable, and it's really good to see that she's going to be successful, that she's in major stores. And that's the kind of thing we want to see happen in Montgomery County. That's why our procurement fair was important, because we survive and do better when everybody else is doing better. And Montgomery County's strength has to be in lifting everybody up, and that's the work we try to do, and it's why this is important. I want to just close by saying that I traveled to Central America I was in Nicaragua in the year after the revolution, when Somoza disappeared once and for all, and I was in El Salvador during the war. And things I saw there when I confronted people on the other side who thought that those movements were wrong, that the conditions people were forced to live in and the conditions people endured in that country, those countries during wartime, were just appalling and inhumane. And I think when Americans deal with the immigration issue, whether you like it or not, we have to own the fact that we set Central America on fire. We supported decades of brutal dictatorships. We made it impossible for people to live decent lives. And there certainly was no freedom, democracy, and any of the other things that we value. And when people leave countries that were torn by death squads and by gangs, it is not surprising. And when I look at the immigrant situation in this country, I am particularly sensitive to folks who come out of Central America and places that were war-torn because of our country's role in creating that problem. And you can't walk away from the problem and say, okay, we failed to impose a dictatorship on you endlessly, it's not our problem anymore. We created the problem. I feel this is part of what we owe to give back to the community, is to make sure we help make sure that if you left there to come here for freedom and peace, that we give you the opportunity to enjoy freedom and peace. So I'm proud of the work we do. I think everybody's got to be cognizant of how this happened. This isn't just it's not like the migration historically of people just wanting better jobs and better lives. There are other things behind this that I think people need to understand, that we ought to be able to talk about it. So I'm just glad that we can do this work in Montgomery County. I'm glad we've had a council for the 12 years I was on it and the 4 past years, where these kind of issues, there's not a debate about it. Everybody understands we stand together with everybody in our community. This is not the possession of any one person or group of people. This is the joint project. And Nancy, I want to thank you for your leadership. You've always been out there and making sure that these issues get talked about and that concerns from the county, concerns from the community reach the county's table. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to continuing to work with you.
All right, we will now watch the video, and then my colleagues will each have an opportunity to say a few words when the video is over, and then we will go to the proclamation.
They are warriors.
I come from a long line of extraordinarily, amazing women leaders in my family.
They are mothers.
Soy salvadoreña. Soy madre de 2 muchachos, 2 jóvenes con los que llegué aquí a Estados Unidos.
They are immigrants.
Sí, he conquistado el sueño americano.
They persevere.
Y fue que empezamos a recolectar firmas de que queríamos que se renovara también el Recreation Center.
They are community leaders.
The United States is home to 62.1 million Hispanics or Latinos, according to the 2020 U.S. Census data, which represents 18.7% of the entire population. Between 2010 to 2020, the Hispanic or Latino population grew by 23%. We are the nation's second largest ethnic group. Our culture is known for its close ties with our families, as well as rich culinary, musical, religious, and holiday traditions. And in this video, I will share the legacy of 4 immigrant women who have broken down barriers, turning their challenges into dreams that they not only fulfilled, but that have also made a difference here in Montgomery County. They are Latinas, leaders without borders. Give honor to whom honor is due. Councilmember Nancy Navarro has earned the respect and admiration of those who have witnessed her life of public service and advocacy.
My greatest achievement has been to be able to occupy this space and deliver a very comprehensive body of work, because it has not been easy. Even in Montgomery County, right, 2022 still, it's not easy to be a woman in elected office.
But let's rewind to 1975, as a 10-year-old, an academic opportunity for her father brought Nancy Navarro to the United States, a life-changing trip that redirected her life.
So when we went back to Venezuela, I said I would come back to go to college.
And that's what she did after accomplishing her academic goals and with a desire to return to Venezuela with her family.
But then I met my husband, and everything changed because we got married, and we met in Washington, D.C. in 1990, and we got married in 1991, and then moved to Montgomery County because the schools.
Her involvement within the school system would open the doors to a life of public service. After becoming the second Latina to serve on the Board of Education, she made history again as the first Latina immigrant to be elected to the Montgomery County Council and serve twice as its president and vice president.
I have been able to do a lot, and I think I've been able to deliver a lot with an extraordinary team in my office, right? With an amazing team, and with an incredible also group of people, constituents who had not traditionally been involved, but through my Latino Civic Project and other projects, they came into the fold.
But the project that I'm most proud of that she put together was Proyecto Cívico, which is an extraordinary legacy that I have seen firsthand the impact that it's had in our community to build an organization and a program that really empowers people to testify before the council and speak on behalf of their communities is really, really important.
Being an immigrant and a woman of color has given her the tools to connect with the community, empower them to own their voice, and lead the charge on important pieces of legislation such as racial equity and social justice, minimum wage, initiatives like the early care and education, as well as Por Nuestra Salud y Bienestar. The latter, a national model that saved lives in Montgomery County in the midst of the health crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Being a Latina woman means that you embody a lot of different identities, at least that is my case. Coming from Venezuela, who is also very diverse country, there are a lot of perspectives that, at least for me, it has not been difficult to understand and navigate issues that face different communities, and trying to build bridges in order to find the solutions. Is there a component to it, or is it going to be?
Her role models have always been the women most close to her heart.
I come from a long line of extraordinarily, amazing women leaders in my family. Mi abuelita, mi mamá, they're my aunts, las tías, they were all women that were almost like ahead of their time in breaking down paradigms and moving us forward, moving my own family forward. I want to also thank my colleagues.
There's no mountain high enough that can stop Councilmember Navarro. Her fighting spirit and her love for Montgomery County have given her the power to break down barriers. She is a Latina whose leadership does not have borders nor limitations.
Que el estrés le daña el corazón.
Carmen Hernandez never imagined leaving her native country in 2005, but overnight, her life took an unexpected turn.
Yo vine ante una situación personal de seguridad.
I came due to a personal safety situation. I came here and applied for asylum. I was a political asylum seeker.
Fui una persona asilada política.
With her 2 children, she left behind a successful career as a professor at one of the most prestigious universities in El Salvador, starting from scratch as many other immigrants do.
Dios me movió.
God moved me, and I think He moved me to where He needed me.
And since then, she has been fulfilling and meeting the needs of low-income communities.
Entonces acompañarles, buscar ese espacio libre que tenían.
I would accompany them and help them find some free time to involve them in English classes or other activities that would allow them to integrate better into this community.
Primera clase, con la primera acción que ustedes hacen, dice.
The doors continue to open for Carmen and she joined Impact Silver Spring, a non-profit organization where she has worked for more than a decade, becoming the support system for the immigrant community of Montgomery County. From Carmen's leadership, many projects that have received the support of Councilmember Navarro's office have been successfully executed. One of them is the Women's Circle.
Hemos tenido desde las clases cívicas, clases de joyería.
We've had civic classes to jewelry classes, cooking classes, and even sewing classes. We have done crafts and handicrafts. What people know, I try to strengthen their abilities.
Yo trato de que lo saquemos a flote.
Nos ha apoyado tanto a nosotras las mujeres en el sentido de que ha traído.
She has supported us women. She has led projects such as crafts and sewing and has supported us greatly during the pandemic.
Más para el tiempo de la pandemia.
And with gratitude in her heart,
Yo le diría a la concejal Navarro, gracias.
I'd like to thank Councilmember Navarro. She has always been by my side and is a woman of integrity. She has not only given to the council her wisdom, but has truly been there for the community.
Su sabiduría y sus habilidades, sino que ha acompañado realmente a la comunidad.
Carmen Hernandez is an example that leadership goes beyond borders.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Mónica Braden y vivo en Glenmont, donde soy propietaria y proveedora de cuidado de niños en el hogar.
In union, there is strength. Monica Braden is a Mexican immigrant who fought tirelessly for several groundbreaking projects spearheaded by Councilmember Nancy Navarro that are now a reality in Wheaton.
Aún habiendo el dinero para la renovación del Recreation Center,
Even though there were funds for the renovation of the recreation center, there was a group of people who wanted to keep it as something historic. But we as members of the community saw that it did not make much sense to have a building that no longer had much functionality, and our young people needed a bigger and newer recreation center.
Que ya no tenía mucha funcionalidad y nuestros jóvenes necesitaban un recreation center más grande, novedoso.
And this was how a long journey of advocacy began for several Hispanic families, participants of the Latino Civic Project, who came together to form the Grandview Neighborhood Circle.
Me siento muy contenta y orgullosamente quiero decir que esta librería con este Recreation Center fue el resultado.
I am very happy and proud to say that this library and the recreation center were the result of the advocacy of a group of Latino families. If we had not been knocking on doors, this would have not been possible.
Todo lo que se hizo, la verdad, no estuviera este proyecto.
Monica arrived in Montgomery County 22 years ago. She came with a ticket back to Mexico, never imagining that here in the United States, she would meet the love of her life. As her family grew, the desire to take care of her children made her reinvent herself by starting her own business as a family childcare home provider.
La concejal Navarro ha sido sin duda.
Councilmember Navarro has undoubtedly been a very strong supporter of our child care provider sector. She has always been in favor of education and early education.
De la educación temprana.
As Monica flourished professionally, her advocacy also grew, mainly due as a result of her involvement with the Latino Civic Project. The results of this work are reflected in stories of leaders like Monica Braden.
Muchas gracias, concejal, por toda la ayuda que nos ha dado.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Navarro, for all the help you have given us. You have truly been a great leader and a great politician, and that is seen in the transformation that Wheaton has had.
Okay.
The borders, the new language, and a new culture were no barriers for Monica to becoming an example of community advocacy. Perseverance has been the secret formula to her success.
Mi nombre es Angélica Zaragoza.
My name is Angelica Zaragoza. I am Mexican and I have been living in Maryland for 17 years.
Viviendo aquí en Maryland.
Angelica came to the United States with the same desire that millions of immigrants share, a better future, more than a decade after establishing herself in the land of opportunities.
I've conquered the American dream.
Now Angelica enjoys with her husband and 4 children the fruits of her hard work. But before reaching the top, she fought against a path full of adversities.
Mi esposo fue diagnosticado con cáncer y para mí fue una...
My husband was diagnosed with cancer. It was a great obstacle in my life and I thought I was not going to be able to overcome it. At that moment, I had to reevaluate whether to resume my career in foreign commerce or as a child care provider. It was then that I approached Montgomery County and saw that there were several options.
De comercio exterior o el de cuidado de niños. Pues entonces que me acerqué a los del condado de Montgomery.
Every cloud has a silver lining. The desire to take care of her husband made Angelica reinvent herself.
Tuve la dicha de cambiarme hace 3 años aquí en Olney y fue cuando me propuse buscar una casa.
I had the joy of moving to Olney 3 years ago, and that's when I decided to buy a house that would give me the space to be able to have my own child care here in my home. And I'm very happy and content because thanks to that, I am a small business owner and I am my own boss and I control my time. I am passionate about taking care of children.
Y estoy en lo que me apasiona, que son el cuidado de los niños.
Now, she's a successful businesswoman. She has in her hands the ability to impact childhood education in Montgomery County. In her bilingual childcare center, she teaches, sings, and speaks in English and Spanish.
Rica la pasta. Wow, yummy pasta.
With her dreams fulfilled, now Angelica wants to give back and support prospective family childcare providers, just as she was able to receive when she needed this information the most.
Mi granito de arena que he puesto ha sido en ayudarlas a que...
This is my grain of sand to help them take courses in training. I am part of the board of directors of CAMS, and while being there, I have realized that there is a great need for guidance amongst women who want to start their business.
De orientación y de ayudas para muchas mujeres que quieren poner su propio negocio.
And one of her greatest supporters has been the only female member of the county council.
Para mí, la concejal Nancy Navarro es un ejemplo a seguir. Creo que, bueno,
For me, Councilmember Nancy Navarro is an example to all of us, thanks to the fact that I knew that she was also a Latina entrepreneur who had her own childcare like myself. It gave me confidence and it motivated me to help others and guide them.
Angelica is another Latina whose perseverance and fighting spirit have made her a leader without borders.
That was beautiful. We're now going to hear comments from colleagues. Oh, we got that echo again. We're going to start on this side with Councilmember Katz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hola, amigos. Buenas tardes. After I say me llamo Sidney Katz, you pretty much heard all the Spanish I know. But I want to note that President Albornoz has reminded us that the longer we speak, the longer we have to wait for lunch. So I'm going to be quick, I can tell you. But let me begin by congratulating all who worked on that marvelous video. That deserves an extra round of applause, please. And let me say very publicly, there is only one Gabe Albornoz and only one council member and chair of the Government Operations Committee, Nancy Navarro. They deserve another round of applause as well, please. I am truly proud to call them my friends and my mentors. Celebrations like this are truly the most fun part of the job that each of us has. And today has certainly been another example of that. We are all fortunate to live in Montgomery County. And on a personal note, I am so very lucky to have so many friends and mentors in this room. I grew up in Montgomery County, and I truly thought I knew Montgomery County, and I knew a little bit, but I was taught by so many in this room who took the time to really mentor me, to help me realize what I did know and realize what I didn't know. And that is always the best help that you can possibly get. I thank each of you for working with us to have a better place. Montgomery County is home to 4, I believe, of the most diverse places in America. They just recently named. Gaithersburg, where I was the alcalde, is now the 3rd. I like to enjoy teasing my friend and current mayor, Judd Ashman, that when I was there, they were number 1. And he takes that okay, but that's true, by the way. You know, all of you, every one of us have said, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to stop because I know everyone has something to say, but I've always said that to me, a community is a family. And I sincerely thank you for being a part of my family. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Giwando.
Thank you. Good to see everybody. I love the pictures of my colleagues' big hair. I think that was the #1 thing I love. But also the great community leaders, the Latinas who are doing so much in the front row here and have done so much, along with so many in this room. And Council President wasn't lying when he said this is like the best looking room we've had since we've started coming back, for sure. As Councilmember Katz said, you know, our community is a great community. You know, when I was watching those little planes come from the various points in Central and South America, or whether you came from Europe or Spain or wherever you came from in the diaspora of Spanish-speaking nations, this place is a hub. You know, we've got the largest Salvadoran population outside of El Salvador here. I've been to the festivals, I've seen it. We have one of the largest communities of immigrants in the nation of all immigrants here in this nation, here in this community. And when I think about what makes up Montgomery County, it would not be a place I'd want to live without the Latino community. You know, I said at the Salvadoran festival a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, I said, mi sangre es tu sangre. And if you think about, particularly in Central and South America, those of you who have come from those countries or ancestors come from those countries, there is a big tie between all of our communities. My dad coming from Nigeria, and then all that population coming over to Central and South America, and all the mix of indigenous and European and African peoples. We are all one people. And I'm reminded of that every day in this community. And while we celebrate our specific heritages and our differences, which we should, because that's part of making us who we are, we also celebrate our commonality. in the thing that makes us a community. The best county in the nation, a place where the American dream is not perfect, but is possible. And our work is to continue to make that possible for more people like the wonderful folks who were highlighted today. So thank you and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. God bless you.
Thank you. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you so much. Well, I'll just make 3 brief points. First, it's amazing to see so many community leaders here today, and it has truly been my honor to stand with you to fight for housing justice, for educational equity, for fair jobs and wages and protections for employees, for public safety policy that respects our communities and ensures trust. All of these battles, year after year, it's your voices that we as council members respond to and are working to advance. Second thing I want to say is for my dear colleague, Nancy Navarro. You are a bold politician, and this is an arena where there are a lot of forces that are constantly at work trying to knock a person off of the course or deter them from their vision or impede their progress. And you, I think more than almost anyone I've ever worked with, have been so forceful and strong in where you want to go, and will pull everything together to get there. And it is a quality that I admire tremendously, and I want to recognize you for that. The last point I want to make is reflecting again on this room. One of the aspects of your work that I've enjoyed the most, as our council president also stated, is the Latino Civic Project. The work that we do to change who is in the room is the most important work, because I learned at a young age that the outcome of a political process is determined by the participants of that process. And as long as Montgomery County government, the people who participate, don't reflect the community, the outcome will be distorted by those who are there. And so the challenging work of going deeper and to build and nurture and grow our civic community is a long contribution that we will sustain. So I want to thank you for that as well, and look forward to continuing our celebration today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hucker.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to express my deep gratitude to each of the heroes recognized in the video and the entire community for your contributions to Montgomery County, because every sector of our society, whether it's our government, our schools, our neighborhoods, our culture, and our economy, are all strengthened and made much more vibrant and wonderful to as a county because of your contributions. And second, I want to echo what so many have said, how fortunate we are to work with Council Members Navarro and Albornoz. And I want to thank them publicly for the opportunity I had to work so closely with them last year when I served as council president during the horrible recession and the pandemic that we all lived through. I want to tell you that we see their dedication and passion every day, but I was able to see it particularly up close last year during that those crises when the county executive reminded us we had to do things differently and come up with new ways to meet those challenges. And especially because of leaders like them and others here, Sonia and Bibi and Gracie and so many of you, this council stood up funding and entirely new programs and made it a priority to make sure all of our residents could access not just testing and vaccines, but culturally competent health information and services and support for our small businesses that weren't there in previous years. And they are still there today because of our joint commitment to that principle. There's a lot more work to do, and we have to continue to celebrate and take pride in our diversity, but also to enthusiastically take action to address our persistent inequities, whether we're talking about the opportunity gap in our schools or the disparities in our healthcare system or the inequities in our housing and our transportation systems. We all have to continue to tackle those every single day. All of us, I think, know that our future and our prosperity depends on ensuring that all of our residents, not just some of our residents, can really succeed and meet their potential. At the end of the day, we're one community that should be united. And as I close, I want to just share a quote from a hero of mine who I had the great fortune to meet many years ago, the legendary civil rights leader and organizer Cesar Chavez, who said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others, for their sakes and for our own." So thank all of you for everything you're doing to give us a stronger county, and I look forward to continuing to work closely together to achieve that goal. Thank you.
Council Vice President Glass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by expressing my appreciation to you and Councilmember Navarro. While hopefully we will continue serving together, this is not yet the end for Councilmember Navarro. We will all have plenty of time over the coming weeks to continue celebrating her and her legacy. I think this just teed it up a little bit, but it was, I will echo the sentiment of seeing the pictures of you. I look forward to seeing more. We can compare hairdos at some other point in time when I used to have more. But it is also really nice to be in this room with so many leaders, advocates, and I think really, above all, friends that allow us to do this work with you. And that's really what this is all about. It's about the partnership to continue moving in the direction we need to go in to do what we all know needs to be done. And I will say, for me and my office, the teamwork also extends there, and I just want to give a public shout out to my Chief of Staff, Valeria Carranza, who is the only Latina Chief of Staff here at the Council, who deserves those round of applause and more. And then also David Lorenzo, who's a senior legislative aide of mine, who together we continue working and fighting for all of you, with all of you. And, as we all take a look down memory lane, probably one of the most meaningful impacts, moments over the last 4 years during this term was at a public meeting that then Council President Navarro organized, and it was on the Veers Mill Road Master Plan, where we went into the heart of the Latino community here in Montgomery County to talk about land use that would affect that community. And to be in that building, to see members of the Latino Civic Project come out and share with us directly what you wanted in that community. We heard you, and we're going to work over the next few years to implement that vision so that the community gets to benefit from it. But whether it is schools, transportation, healthcare, we're all working to make this community a more fair and equitable one. And I will leave my comments with this one note: Latinas in the state of Maryland still only make 47 cents for every dollar a white man makes. So let's recommit ourselves to making sure that we get fair and equitable wages for everyone, especially Latinas, and we can do that over the next 4 years or so. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you for all of your service and for being such a great colleague to us. I'm so excited to be part of this extraordinary celebration of our community and recognizing how much our community has changed and benefited and improved. We are a nation of immigrants, and we are a county of immigrants, and the immigration into our county has really been what has driven us to the heights that we have gotten. We have moved together, and you have pushed us to where we are today, and you are continuing to push us to where we need to go. And nobody has done more to lift up those voices than my friend, my mentor, and colleague, Nancy Navarro, who understands that if you don't have a seat at the table, you end up on the menu. And she's been building chairs for quite a long time as a community advocate and activist, as a school board member, now as a county council member. We know you'll continue to be building those chairs, and I hope that all of us will continue to honor your legacy by building on the changes that you have made, not just advocating for things, but institutionalizing the way that we do our work here in the county. And there are just so many examples of that. I was listening to the stories, and I was thinking about my own family story and how much unites us. As Councilmember Joanda was noting, my great-grandmother, my mother's grandmother, came here as a 10-year-old girl by herself on a boat and lived with distant relatives she had never met and didn't even know about in Alexandria. That's how that part of my family came here. She became the central figure, the strong, powerful woman in that family. And every Sunday, the family went and had supper and dinner, because she's from Alexandria, at her home. And that was because she created her new family here. And that was very important to her. And there's so much in my family story that is similar to your family stories. And so much in our county about what makes each member of our community unique. And we have to celebrate the uniqueness. You know, we talk about it as a Latino community as if this is one community and not a collection of incredible, amazing communities that we're classifying together, but also to celebrate what brings us together and what is so common. All of the issues that colleagues have talked about of wanting a world-class education, wanting a great place to live and raise a family, wanting the ability to access a good job or maybe create your own jobs and opportunities for others, to have access to really good quality parks and recreation and outdoor space. We all want much of the same thing, and you have helped us to create it and to build it. And following on Councilmember Navarro's legacy, I hope that we can continue to build to make sure that nobody is on the menu, and that we build a bigger and broader table, as Ike Leggett used to say, and that we continue to not just do our work in a more engaged way, but engage more people in the work that we do to make sure that it's as accessible as possible, and that we have a county that reflects the people who are part of it, and we have a county government that does its work in a way that reflects and represents and respects each and every one of our community members. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to celebrate with you. So grateful to be part and to share this community with you, and looking forward to lunch.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Councilmember Craig Rice.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to you, Council President Albornoz and Councilmember Navarro. I've served alongside you for your pretty much entire term outside of, I guess, a year, and it's been amazing to watch. And it ties into my role as chair of the Education and Culture Committee, because I always tell our children about their power to be able to change the world. And I hope that the ladies who were highlighted today, and I know my colleague knows this all too well, play a role in changing the world each and every day through your actions. But also not just the people that are highlighted, but every single person that's in this room. And I hope that you understand the power and what it is that you are doing. Historically, the expanding role of Latinx-owned businesses and Latino consumers in the world's largest economy has created so many opportunities to foster deeper economic integration, not just here in the United States, but across the world, including in your home countries. And so when you study and look at the reality of what happens, the jobs that are grown here and the economic success and the investment back in your home countries also fosters a worldwide economy that continues to grow because of your success right here in the United States. And it not only changes economic impact, but it also changes political impact as well. As we heard from Councilmember Navarro about some of the continued strife that so many countries that people flee from are experiencing, the reality is that as those countries see the economic success of those individuals that have left, understand that they need to make a change. We've seen that with Mexican government and with other governments throughout South America. Change is coming, and it's because of each and every one of you. And then when we look here at the benefits that we've got, from cuisine to music to sports to film to fashion to entertainment to family and traditions. There are family traditions that have come from your cultures that have been embraced by the United States across the board amongst all other cultures as well. True integration. The reality is that we have to stop talking about building walls and talk more about building opportunities. That is what our conversation should be about. It should not be about keeping folks away from each other. It should not be about borders. It should be about truly building integration. And so, to my good friend Nancy Navarro, I just want to close with a quote from Dolores Huerta. She said something and it ties into our theme for today. She said, "We do need Latinas in civic life. We do need Latinas to run for office. We need a feminist to be at the table when decisions are being made so that the right decisions are being made." Well, couldn't that be more true right now? So I thank you, Councilmember Navarro. I thank our Latina leaders for their great roles today. And I thank each and every one of you for playing a part for not only changing our community, but also changing this great United States of America for the better, and hopefully this world as well. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, we're going to make our way down and read the proclamation and then invite our invited guests who are going to speak.
Yep.
All right. So this is the proclamation of Montgomery County. Whereas since 1988, Hispanic Heritage Month serves as a time for all to celebrate the histories, cultures, and contributions of residents whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And
whereas the term Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latine, Latinx are not monolithic terms and encompass a wide range of identities within the community to help better celebrate the shared ancestry and unique historical and present-day accomplishments. And whereas
Hispanic Americans have helped shape our history and drive progress for all people. They are innovative entrepreneurs driving our economy, artists enriching our world, scientists and engineers revolutionizing our way of life and making new discoveries, chefs providing food and assistance to those in need across the world, as well as advocates leading the way for social and political change, and so much more. And
whereas, according to the 2020 census, the Latino population in Montgomery County has increased by more than 30% since 2010, making up more than 20% of the county's entire population. And
whereas Montgomery County recognizes that Hispanic and Latino Americans represent a wide array of cultures from 38 countries and territories. And
Thank you. Whereas Latinos in Montgomery County have been central to the development and prosperity of our community by contributing to the advancement of the economy, the arts, science, sports, religion, business, education, and public service, and by affirming the importance of family bonds and community spirit. And
whereas to commemorate Hispanic Heritage Month, which started on September 15th and ends on October 15th, we recognize the achievements and contributions of Latino leaders and express our gratitude for the impact they have across our community. And
it's the moving microphone. Whereas today, the Montgomery County Council marks its 9th annual Hispanic Heritage Month commemoration, and its theme for this year is Latinas, Leadership Without Borders, and
Whereas we encourage residents to take time to come together with their Latino friends, family, and neighbors to learn about the rich, diverse traditions, cuisines, music, histories, and life experiences that they bring from their home countries across Central and South America and the Caribbean.
Now, therefore, it be resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby celebrates National Hispanic Heritage Month, presented on this 11th day of October in the year 2022, signed by our Council President Gabe Albornoz and myself, Nancy Navarro. Congratulations.
All right. Point of privilege, I want to acknowledge Maida Bayonet on my team, who played a big role in helping to organize today. Thank you, Maida. And welcome Jackie White to our team, who is a new member of the Grace Rivera Oven family. So, welcome, Jackie. And now we will hear from our 3 Latina leaders.
Well, thank you everyone here, and a special thank you for Nancy Navarro, because she teaching me a lot for work in this community. Thank you for my partners here, for Mayra and Berta, I love you, you know. And of course, my children's, Carmen is not be here right now because she's in the university, and she says it's very expensive to lose one class. It's very expensive. And I have with me Daniel and Damian, is my company and my support. And of course, thank you for Impact, because Impact permit the space where I can work with the community. But this is the more important piece. My community, my people, I'm very, very proud from my roots. It's incredible. The people here is from all Latin Americans. And I say my English no es very well, es similar de Celia Cruz, pero sí puedo decir, yes, of course. But I can smile and I can cry in the same moment. With the witness, we smile, because we have the power and we have all acknowledged to change this country. I think so. This is very important. I followed all your work, and you follow the community. They vote for you. You need help them. This is.
Thank you. Okay. Many thanks to the council members for this recognition, especially to Councilmember Nancy Navarro for all of her great work for the community. As a resident of Glenmont in the Wheaton area for the last 22 years, I have witnessed the transformation and development that Wheaton had since Nancy Navarro has been the councilwoman in this district. With the construction of the new ambulance station, the construction of the bridge between Georgia and Randall Avenue, the joint renovation of Wheaton High School and Edison Technical School, the new county building, the new fire station, and the construction, the new library and recreation center. In the last two, we formed a small group of neighbors with the name the Circle Opportunities of Grandview. Now, on many doors, collecting signatures in the middle of the cold winter with the snow, and as well, hearing where we testify our needs. It's been a pleasure for me to be a founding member of the Latino Civic Project since Councilmember Nancy Navarro started this initiative in 2012. So thank you so much to Berta and Mayra, two members of the Nancy Navarro office, because always, when we have any question, any problem, they answer immediately. So always they hear us. And thank you so much.
Buenas tardes. Thank you for this community award, Latinas Leadership Without Borders. I am really honored and appreciate for being chosen as a leader, Latina woman in Montgomery County. I want to thank all the council members, but especially Nancy Navarro, for her exceptional personal role modeling and for creating the Latino Civic Project, which has provided civic education and self-confidence for numerous Latinas. Also, I want to say to the Latino community, ¡sí se puede! ¡Adelante! Finally, I want to say sincerely thank you to my beloved family and friends present here today and those unable to come. Muchas gracias.
All right, that concludes this part of the reception. We're going to take a picture here, and everybody please join us on the 4th floor where we will have a light reception for everyone. Thank you.